I never thought I'd be sharing my story online, but here I am, looking for advice about what happened with my marriage. My wife and I are both 34, and we've been married for 7 years. The timing of everything makes it worse because our anniversary was just last month. We don't have kids, and we both work in tech, different companies, but similar roles. Our main shared interest has always been following competitive gaming tournaments. She's particularly into watching live streams, while I prefer reading analysis and strategy guides. There's this one professional player she's been following for years. Let's just say he's not a top-tier player, maybe ranks around 50th globally, but he has a decent following on social media. The first red flag appeared during a tournament live stream last year. My wife made some comments about this player, how skilled he was, how well he handled pressure, and then dropped the hall pass bomb. I had to ask her what she meant because I'd never heard the term. Apparently, it's this weird concept where couples agree on one celebrity they're allowed to sleep with if they ever get the chance. I thought it was ridiculous and told her so. It led to an argument, but I eventually let it go because what were the chances she'd ever meet this guy? Over the next few months, she kept bringing him up whenever we watched tournaments. I asked her to stop multiple times because it was disrespectful, but she'd just laugh it off. Then she started following all his social media accounts and would constantly show me his posts. It was getting on my nerves, but I tried to be mature about it. Everything changed when she announced that she was going to a gaming convention in the next state over. This player had posted that he'd be doing meet and greets there. She didn't ask me about going, she just informed me she was attending with my friend Raja, who between us has a history of being unfaithful to her husband. They planned to stay overnight at a hotel since the venue was a few hours away. I told her I wasn't comfortable with the whole thing, but she completely ignored my concerns. The day of the convention, she just walked out with her overnight bag. During the entire day, she barely communicated with me, just 2 texts saying she reached the bus station and arrived at the hotel. I called her several times that evening, but got no response. I ended up checking the convention's social media posts obsessively, just to make sure she was okay. I finally spotted her in one of the photos from the meet and greet line. At least I knew she was safe, even if I was angry about being ignored. When she came home the next morning, I was sitting on our bed waiting for her. She gave me this weird smile and started apologizing immediately about not asking my permission to go and missing my calls. She said she'd left her phone at the hotel when she and Raja went to a bar. Something felt off about her apology. It was too rehearsed, too perfect. I asked to see photos from the convention, and that's when things got interesting. As she showed me pictures on her phone, I noticed she was being very careful about how she held it. But she forgot about the thumbnail preview bar at the bottom of the screen. There was something that looked like it didn't belong with the convention photos, just a glimpse of what appeared to be someone unclothed. I played it cool and suggested she take a shower to freshen up. As soon as I heard the water running, I grabbed her phone. There it was, a video 11 minutes long that showed exactly what I feared. I couldn't watch more than the first few seconds, but it was enough to confirm my worst suspicions. I quickly sent the video to my phone, cleared any trace of the transfer from hers, and left the house. I walked around the neighborhood for almost an hour, trying to process what I'd just discovered. Eventually, I found a quiet spot in a local park and forced myself to watch the whole video. There was no doubt about it, my wife had secretly recorded herself with this guy I'd grown to hate because of her obsession. The worst part wasn't even the cheating, it was that she'd gone out of her way to make this happen, planned it all. I went home and pretended everything was normal. She was extra nice to me that week, always smiling at her phone. Each time I saw her do that, I wondered if she was messaging him. The rage kept building inside me, but I knew I needed a solid plan. After a few days of researching, I contacted a lawyer who'd helped my old college roommate with his divorce. While waiting for legal advice, I decided to get more information. I invited Raja, my wife's friend, to meet for drinks. I knew she loved expensive cocktails and couldn't keep secrets after a few of them. At the bar, I played it smart. I kept buying Raja drinks while barely touching mine. I started talking about wanting to buy my wife an expensive gift and asked for suggestions. Once Raja was properly drunk, I dropped the bomb. I told her I knew about my wife and the pro gamer. Raja's eyes went wide for a second before she spilled everything. My wife had been flirting with him during the meet and greet and slipped him her number. Later that night, he texted her a hotel room number. The video? Raja admitted that my wife had recorded it secretly and even showed it to their friend group. Finding out that multiple people had seen this video made me feel sick. I recorded our entire conversation without Raja noticing. A week later, when everything was set up with the lawyer, I made my move. We were at home watching a gaming tournament when I told her I wanted a divorce. She started choking on her drink and kept asking if I was joking. I couldn't handle her questions and fake crying, so I left. The next day, she got served divorce papers at her office. When she came home, she was a mess, crying, begging on her knees, saying it was all a mistake. I just laughed and told her to pack her things. She moved in with Raja temporarily, though I'm sure Raja didn't remember our conversation at the bar. The divorce process was brutal. There were countless meetings, arguments about money and property, and lots of paperwork. But I had an advantage: the video she'd recorded without consent, plus Raja's recorded confession. My lawyer used these to negotiate a better settlement. I kept the house, and while I still had to pay some alimony, it wasn't nearly as much as it could have been. I also made sure to expose Raja's betrayal during the proceedings. My wife lost her best friend and confidant in the process. The look on her face when she realized Raja had told me everything, that almost made up for some of the pain she'd caused me. But I wasn't done yet. I had one final card to play, and I was waiting for the divorce to be finalized before using it. The video was going to serve another purpose, one that would make her regret ever pulling out her phone that night. Once the divorce was official, I started working on the final phase of my plan. The pro gaming community loves drama just as much as any other entertainment industry. I reached out to several gaming news websites, carefully hiding my identity. One popular site took interest in the story. I negotiated with them and even made some money from selling the information, not a fortune, but enough to feel like a bonus. For days, I kept refreshing their website, waiting for the story to drop. When it finally went live, they used exactly the angle I'd suggested, painting my ex-wife as an obsessed fan who'd secretly recorded an intimate moment with a pro player. Using a throwaway email, I sent the article link to my ex-wife. Then I waited. I knew she'd figure out it was me. That was part of the plan. I wanted her to know exactly who had ruined her life, just like she'd ruined mine. 2 days later, she showed up at my door, completely out of control. She kept screaming, "I know it was you," while I played dumb in an obviously fake way. I wanted her to be absolutely certain that I was behind everything. When she finally realized I was mocking her, she lost it and attacked me. She jumped at me, trying to scratch my face and throat. Luckily, my neighbor saw the whole thing and called the police. I pressed charges for assault, which was just a small bonus compared to what came next. The pro player's legal team went after her for recording him without consent. His reputation had taken a hit. He lost several sponsorship deals and got dropped from his team. The case dragged on for months. Her lawyers were no match for his legal team. Even though she had money from our divorce settlement, it quickly disappeared into legal fees. The gaming community turned against her too. Some websites called her a stalker fan, which was pretty satisfying to read. In the end, she got sentenced to 2 months in jail and had to pay a fine. The pro player also won his civil case for damages. As I write this, she's serving her jail time, and I'm finally feeling like justice has been served. I won't say I'm completely over what happened. That kind of betrayal leaves scars. But watching her lose everything, her marriage, her best friend, her reputation, and eventually her freedom, definitely helps. If there's one thing I learned from all this, it's that if you catch someone cheating, don't just walk away. Sometimes karma needs a little push. Looking back, I could have just divorced her and moved on. But she didn't just cheat on me, she recorded it, showed it to her friends, and treated it like some kind of trophy. She humiliated me, so I returned a favor. The only difference is that my revenge was completely legal. The house feels empty sometimes, but it's a peaceful kind of empty. I've started playing competitive games again myself, and I'm actually pretty good at it. Life has a way of coming full circle. She lost everything because of her obsession with a pro gamer, and I found my way back to gaming after losing her. I don't plan on sharing any more updates. This chapter of my life is finally over, and I'm ready to move on. But I hope my story helps others understand that you don't have to just accept being betrayed. Sometimes the best response is to play the long game and win on your own terms. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.